Alright kids, class is in session. Put your phones down unless that's what you're watching this video on. Then in that case don't. Alright, so in today's episode we're going to be going over the top animals that are absolutely terrifying but are really only a threat to your mental health. I'm Nico and you're watching Shro's Serpents. Let's get to it. Alright, so before we even get started, to get on this list, every animal has to meet a specific criteria. Those criteria being, 1, it has to have never killed a healthy adult person. And I put emphasis on healthy adult because, well, there are people over 60 who factory reset themselves from one wrong move in the shower, and there are people under 4 who probably just deleted themselves as we're speaking by choking on a Lego. So that's not really fair. Anyone can do that. 2, it has to be something that's at least somewhat widely feared. You know, spiders, snakes. And 3, it has to just look scary, because if it doesn't look scary, why would it be on a list of scary animals if it's not a scary animal? Exactly. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so our first animal on the list is the goblin shark. This is pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? I'm pretty sure thalassophobia only exists because people know that they're swimming above this thing. I mean, that's just terrifying. Goblin shark are large, deep-sea predators that can range in size from 10 to 12 feet to about 460 pounds on average, so they're definitely a very large animal. They're known for inhabiting the lower circles of hell, specifically in the Indian, Pacific, and Atlantic Oceans, specifically the... I'm about to butcher the shit out of that name. The Saigami and Suruga Bays in Japan. Saigami? I don't know. Now you're probably wondering, well, what's so scary about that? I mean, yeah, it does look a little weird, but it's just like a hammerhead shark, just sideways. It's a pickaxe shark. What's wrong with the pickaxe shark? Pickaxe head shark. It's how they catch their prey, which actually isn't that odd considering the majority of fish have the same ability, but the goblin sharks take it to the extreme. So just watch this video and you'll understand why.
Until they attack.
Oh shit. Gotta get my daily dose of corn syrup and microplastics. There we go. Okay, back to this. So about their snoot, why is it like that? Well, remember earlier how I was talking about how they're essentially just sideways hammerheads? Yeah, they pretty much are. Hammerheads have these little organelles in their hammerhead that are called, big word time, ampullae of Lorenzini, which sounds like a pasta. But what they're actually used for is to detect the electrical receptions of the muscle fibers that are put off by fish, because all animals put off electrical signals. So hammerheads take that and they use those to essentially see when they can't see their prey. And this is why this works really well for goblin sharks, because they're swimming around in a place where light doesn't exist. So it's pretty helpful to have essentially what are infrared goggles, electrofarad goggle? I don't know. Now what about that mouthpiece? Why is that like that? Why do they need that? Well, I'll give you the reasons and the mechanics behind it. First off, let's go with why they have that. Why would you want something like this? Well, actually, the majority of fish have this feature, especially largemouth bass and pike, which are two pretty common fish that a lot of people encounter quite frequently, whether they're swimming or fishing or whatever. But you can see in these videos that these fish exhibit this exact same ability. Now how they do it is because their jaw, unlike yours or mine, isn't fully connected to their skull. Their mandibles, the jaw, the bone right here, isn't fully connected to their skulls, but rather it's just sort of loosely attached by stretchy ligaments that connect around here, here, and why am I using a human to diagram this? Look at the diagram of the shark. And what those ligaments do is they stretch outwards incredibly fast, kind of like when you're shooting a rubber band. That's what they do, except with their mouth. And they do this because they are incredibly slow, which is one of the reasons why they're on this list. They couldn't kill someone if they really, really wanted to. Not only do they have a super weak bite force, like, they kind of just net things. Like, they don't really bite things. And even if they do, it's only going to hurt because their mouth is full of thumbtacks. So yeah, as I said, they are painfully slow, which is why they have, I'm not making this up, literally the fastest jaw of any animal. I don't know if any animal. Oh, trap jaw ants, I forgot about that. Ooh, we should do a video about ants. Ants are awesome. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, super fast jaw because they are super slow fish. Pretty simple, right? Alright, so the fourth animal that you're probably afraid of but really shouldn't be is the tarantula. Okay, I know that might look bad, but trust me, just let me explain, alright? Just go ahead and take a look at these statistics, alright? No healthy human has ever been killed by a tarantula. I don't think there are any deaths on anyone, young, old, elderly, sick, or healthy, have ever been killed by a tarantula. I don't think that's ever happened. Even the most venomous species in the world, which I believe is the Goody Sapphire Ornamental Poecilotheria metallica, this thing, that's a gorgeous animal right there. They are frequently hailed as being the most venomous tarantula, and yet they've never killed anyone. So are tarantulas really that dangerous? No. But I'm going to go over some things that you should be worried about them, but why you shouldn't completely be afraid of them. I don't think that made any sense. Okay, so I'm not going to spend that much time explaining what a tarantula is. You probably know what a tarantula is, alright? Big, hairy spider. They're an arachnid. They're the largest spiders on the planet, except for maybe one. Don't worry about that, though. And they are one of the most feared creatures on this earth. For what reason? I don't know. Because this animal and this animal can kill people, so that must mean that this animal can kill people too, right? No. No one has ever even been hospitalized by this. Do you know what this is? That is the Theraphosa blondie, or the Goliath bird eater, the largest spider to ever exist. Not the largest tarantula, not the largest tarantula or spider in modern history, the largest spider ever. No spider that we know of has ever been bigger than this thing, and it has never even put someone in the hospital. However, that doesn't mean they're not dangerous. I'm not saying you should go book a flight to the Amazon and start poking bird eaters, alright? They're called bird eaters for a reason. They take down big shit, and they will happily take you down. But not in the way you might think. Really goddamn well because it's happened to me before. They are called urticating hares, which is essentially like, you know the old myth about how porcupines can shoot their quills? It's that, except it's true. They have these tiny little, essentially like fiberglass-like hairs on their abdomen, and when they get threatened, they will just sort of flick them off at you, and it works, because they can cause lung damage and temporary blindness if they are inhaled or if they get into your eye. So you still shouldn't mess with them, but that doesn't mean they're to be, like, treated like Satan, okay? It's just a big hairy spider. You don't have to be scared of it, I promise. Just don't mess with it. It's simple. And the third animal on our list that you're probably afraid of but really shouldn't be, the tailless whip scorpion. That looks even worse than a tarantula. But they're actually even less dangerous than a tarantula. Because as I said earlier, tarantulas have urticating hairs and venom. These guys have neither of those. But if looks could kill, they would be doing Bundy numbers. But fortunately, they can't. So this creature is literally harmless. I'll show you a video right now of one of the larger species actually being defensive towards someone. And as you can see, it doesn't seem to be doing anything at all. Alright, so let's go over what these things are, why they look the way they do, and why you shouldn't be afraid of them. Because let's be honest, it's going to take quite a bit of persuasion to get you to stop being afraid of this, because we'll just look at it. Actually, you don't have to look at a picture, because I actually have a specimen right here. So yeah, this is about how big they would be compared to a hand, and as you can see, they're not too small. They're a pretty large animal. So, let's talk about them. Alright, so I'm not going to spend too much time going over them and their morphology and all kinds of stuff like that, just like a basic rundown, because I actually plan on giving them their own video, along with their cousins, the whip scorpions. So I'll just go over, basic stuff that, you can see. This is a tailless whip scorpion. This species in particular is the Diamond diadema. They come from East Africa, I believe. Tanzania specifically, that's where the larger species come from. The larger species are typically found in Southeast Asia and East Africa, in subtropical and tropical climates. So some like humidity, others like more arid desert climate, others like Florida, because they can be found in Florida. Also Arizona and Texas. Pretty much the majority of the southern and southeast United States, you can find these things. Yeah, that's probably outside your door right now. Not this one in particular, because as I said earlier, this species is found in East Africa, and unless you live in East Africa, you're not going to find this thing outside your door. But what you could find is one of these species. They're very tiny, so if you live in the United States, you really don't have to worry about these things at all. No matter where you live, you won't have to worry about them, because they're harmless. Okay, enough about that. Let's go over whatever this conglomerate of species is right here. So, you're probably wondering, what the hell are those hellish arms, and why do they have them? Well, all arachnids have 8 legs and 2 pedipalps. What are pedipalps? They're essentially like the arms of the animal. You see tarantulas using them to dig burrows, scorpions using them to grab things, and tailless whip scorpions to crush the life out of whatever they see fit to eat. Which is usually like a cricket or a roach, sometimes like a lizard or a snake though, because like I said, this is not a small animal. They have a hard armor coating, which is made of chitin, as is most exoskeletal animals, very similar to what scorpions have. Now here's the weird thing about them. They are an arachnid, but they don't have 8 legs. So what the fuck? The one thing that defines arachnids, they don't have that? How the hell are they an arachnid? Well, actually, if you look here, I'm going to make it full screen so you can see it. If you look at these 2 appendages right here, these are legs, but they aren't walking legs. They're actually covered in sensory organs very similar to the antenna of an insect, and they use them the exact same way. They can be over 4 times the length of the animal itself, and they use them to detect chemical and pheromone traces in the air, which helps them track down their prey. And also, because of how long and thin they are, they oftentimes use them to poke insects to come closer towards them, which is just terrifying. They're like a fisherman casting a lure. It's horrible. If you're 3 inches tall, but you're not, so don't be worried about them.